Happy Friday, everybody. It's chamber check-in time, and today I have the honor and am privileged to share the UPS story. And I have Idaho Division Manager of UPS, Mr. Doug Berry. Hi, Doug.
Hello, Paul. How are you today?
I'm awesome. Thanks for carving out a little bit of your time today and share the UPS story. I'm so excited to share and have our conversation. But first, I get to thank our series sponsor for these events. It's Delta Dental of Idaho. And you know, Delta Dental of Idaho, Doug, they've been offering dental benefits to Idahoans for over 50 years. Their benefits are designed and backed by the largest network of dentists in the country. And with that, I get to share one of their tooth truths, or one of their fun factoids from their Tooth Truth series. Easy for me to say. Here we go.
So with Delta Dental, our benefits are based on calendar year, and that's per person on the plan. Every January, you get a new annual maximum to use towards your dental care for that year. If your company enrolls on our plan mid-year, we're going to credit your deductibles, and we'll start your annual max over again.
Hey, thanks, Delta Dental. And now, Doug, hey, thanks again for taking some time. We usually use these chamber check-ins as an opportunity for to share our member stories, learn about the people behind them. So I was on your website and I looked and kind of scoured through a bunch of the information. But one of the coolest things I saw was the origin story and how it all started. Let's start out with that, Doug. Share the origin story of UPS for us.
Gladly. It's Jim Casey is the founder of UPS. He started the company in 1907. That's 114 years ago in Seattle, Washington, at the corner of 2nd and Main. They have since secured that 2nd and Main. It's Waterfall Park. You can go back there and see the birthplace of UPS. He took out $100 loan, him and his partner, and they created UPS, which is now a global company. We're over 500,000 employees that started with a $100 loan and a vision of somebody that's done just amazing stuff. And just the stuff that he thought of throughout the history of the company is nothing short of staggering to think that you could take $100 and turn it into a multi-billion-dollar corporation.
That's cool. I thought the same thing, 540,000 employees globally. And I can't wait to talk more about our local employee count when we get to that. Tell us your story, Doug. How did you get involved with UPS and how long has your career span?
That's also a great question. So I started in UPS soon after I got out of the Army in 1989. I started in 1990 with UPS, so that's a little over 30, coming up on 31 years. I was in Kodiak, Alaska when I got out of the Army. Somebody said that UPS was hiring, and being, the small town Alaska, I had no idea what UPS even was. So I said, sure, I'll go work for UPS, and I got a Christmas job with UPS, a seasonal hire job, and then I was opened up to the global structure that was UPS. Because honestly, in Kodiak, Alaska, I'd seen the iconic brown truck maybe once pass me by, and it never really caught my eye until all of a sudden I was in the thick of it. And from Kodiak, Alaska, I started there, like I said, in 1990 as a peak hire. There was an entirety of 2 of us to handle the deliveries in Kodiak, Alaska. And from there, they asked me if I wanted to become a supervisor for UPS, and I said sure. So I moved my family from Kodiak to Anchorage, Alaska. So I went from being one of 2 employees to be in charge of the air ramp operations, which we'll get a chance to talk to here in just a moment. But basically, Anchorage is the gateway to the Pacific Rim for UPS. So all the heavy wide body jets going from Asia through Anchorage to the lower 48. So I went from just two of us to having about 110 employees report to me. I did that for a little bit, and then they asked me if I wanted to move to Juneau, Alaska. And I said, sure, I'll move to Juneau, Alaska. And so my wife and my family, we moved to Juneau, Alaska, which was quite the culture shock coming from Anchorage to Juneau, because it's still Alaska, but it's definitely a different mindset. Did that for several years, and they asked me if I wanted to move to Fairbanks, Alaska, which is definitely a mindset difference, because Juneau, I think the coldest time I ever got was like 10 degrees, and we moved to Fairbanks where the winters were 60 below zero. And the UPSers in Fairbanks, Alaska, tip of the hat to them every time they came to work. It's 60 below, and they'll go out and deliver all the packages and come back the next day and do it again. After that, I was asked if I wanted to become a manager and move back to Anchorage, where then I became the gateway manager in charge of that whole ramp operation in Anchorage. Okay, did I pop back in there?
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay.
We'll just keep
Yep,
going.
no problem. So then they asked me to be in charge of the package operations for the entire state of Alaska. So I did that for a number of years, and then about 2.5 years ago, they asked me if I wanted to become the Idaho division manager. So my wife and I, because my children at that point are grown and grandkids are still in Anchorage, we moved to Idaho, and now I'm in charge of the state of Idaho and the state of Wyoming. When we moved from Anchorage to Idaho, I knew at that point where my pecking order was in my family. My wife was not happy about leaving her grandchildren behind. Thankfully, she loves me enough to go with me. And when we are done with the Idaho division, we will then move back to Anchorage is the plan, to be next to the kids and the grandkids. But UPS has afforded us so many opportunities as a family, and UPSers are amazing people. And one of the Jim Casey quotes, he's got several, but one of my favorite ones by him is, determined people working together can do anything, which is so true. And I know you brought up a stat earlier. We were talking about the 24 million packages a day that UPSers somehow get from point A to point B and get delivered to the home. So yeah, UPSers are amazing people, and I enjoy being around them every day, Paul. There's my origin story with UPS.
I love the story. You know, there's a work ethic culture within UPS. You can see it locally. You're telling us the story of a regional and then globally with 540,000 employees. And I love how you call yourselves UPSers. That's cool. I didn't know that. 24.7 million packages globally a day. That boggles my mind, Doug. What does it look like for packages daily in just Idaho?
Yeah, and that's a good question. So the state of Idaho, we're right at, I told you earlier I'm on vacation, but you never really unplug. So I went in and looked at it earlier. For the Idaho division, which is Idaho and Wyoming, we are delivering about 165,000 packages today. Now, if you take Wyoming out of that mix, Idaho is about 110,000 packages of those today. So, yep, everything you ordered, about 110,000 packages a day. That's about an average day for us right now. It hasn't really started to work up to peak, so it's about 110,000 a day.
That's crazy. And how many employees does the Idaho division have compared to that global count of 540,000?
Yeah, so, and I'm going to give you my people, and I'll differentiate that for a moment, because there's different, I'm going to say, aspects of UPS. So I'm in charge of the package operation, which is the brown package cars.
Yep.
And the people that deliver the boxes, because there's also a whole other group of people, sort of the feeder drivers, the people that drive the large trucks up and down the highway. I'm not responsible for them, but for my people, I've got about 1,250 employees in just in Idaho.
Wow. Yeah. That's a
Yeah,
lot of, and do you guys service 7 days a week? What does that look like?
Yeah, that's a good question. Our packages are delivered 7 days a week. We have a service that's called SurePost. It is a service that the final delivery is actually handled by the post office, but we handle it from point A all the way to the last delivery point, and the post office puts it in the postal box for us, and that happens on Sundays, and then we deliver addresses the other 6 days of the week.
Okay. Hey, you just mentioned you're on vacation, and that's again another piece about the credibility of the people, the tenacious work ethic that you guys have. We're coming into holiday season. All I've been hearing about is supply chain issues. And I know you guys deliver more than just packages that are ordered online. How are the supply chain affecting your industry? Again, I've heard so many times from so many suppliers and manufacturers that the boats are held up in on the West Coast. Tell me how that relates to UPS.
Yeah, it's a great question. So the boats on the West Coast, I'll tell you two tales about that. The boats on the West Coast, we can't unload them. We don't load them when they come out of Asia. But once they get unloaded into the pipeline, we will get the packages delivered from point A to point B. Having said that, it's happened before where boats have been stacked up on the West Coast and not being able to unload it for X, Y, and Z reasons. There is a lot of customers then who choose then to move goods through the air network. So we are the, I'm going to tell you that I'm pretty sure I know this. We're the third largest airline in the world, in the nation. I'm going to say the nation. So our air network gets flooded with small package requests from people who know that their goods are not going to get. And if they don't make it on the boats, and if they don't make it on the boats in time, they're going to put them on the airframes so they get to the consumers just in time deliveries. So once it gets off the boats, we'll get them there. But you'll see that there's a lot of people moving stuff through the air network now.
That's a great point. I didn't even think about that. So for a little bit certainty and clarity of receiving a package, depending on its how important and sense of urgency you need it, air freight may be better right now.
Yeah, and our air product is, our airline was built on air cargo. Air cargo, we sell that as space available. And that space available is after the small package. That gets priority. So if we have space on our plane and people want to pay a smaller shipping fee for air cargo for large pieces, those will fit on our plane, but they'll move when we have space. So those customers that want to have more surety that it's going to move will pay the higher rate you're talking to the small package to get it there in time.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Wow, what a big. We're not only hiring is not only an issue, but supply chain's an issue, and pandemic's been a huge cause of impacted all of our businesses. So let's talk about hiring.
Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna give you pandemic story real quick. So when the pandemic first hit, and UPSers all went to work because we were essential workers. Every day, everybody came to work. I'm still amazed by that. But one funny story is I had we were going to be delivering the essential goods to the nation and keeping it going. And one person told me, "How can this trampoline be an essential good, Doug? You explain that to me." And I said, you tell that to that mom who is home with those kids now that this is not an essential piece. He's like, fair enough. So yeah, it's amazing what the word essential has meant to different people.
Absolutely. We loved our trampoline this year and last year.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
Exactly.
Okay, tell us about your employees. How are they holding up? Are you short? Are you hiring for that season? Tell me how if there's any issues with staffing with y'all.
Yeah, everybody's in that staffing bubble right now, feels like, across the nation. Everywhere I go personally, you see the signs in the door. We're hiring at higher wages than I've ever seen people hiring before. So are we short staffed? Depends on the area. Not so much in the metro areas, the Boise's and the Meridians and Nampias, we seem to be doing well. Some of the rural areas are hard to fill for us. We are hiring right now for the Christmas season, that we call it the peak season. Started today, actually. So, and that will go through the end of, through the first 2 weeks of January, the considered peak employees. But, in the middle parts of the country, doing better.
Okay, it looks like we have a little connection issue. Can you hear me, Doug? Do I still have you, Doug? Let's keep this rolling. I don't know if you can hear me, but I had a couple more questions as well before we close out. Hopefully we can get your audio going back up again. Just take a second and see if we can get it going. It's all right. Let me unmute you. Hey, there you are. We got you back. Yep, I think we're having a little technical difficulty. Oh, there we go.
Right, there you go. How you doing now?
Okay, cool. Hey, so
sorry about that.
No worries. We're hiring into peak season. And I thought, man, do we even have a shoulder season anymore? You guys are rocking all the time. And what I wanted to ask you was, how do you retain your people? And maybe you could share a best practice, because I have a handful of friends that have worked for UPS and are drivers that make careers out of UPS. Is it the pay? Is it the culture? Is it the PTO? What was it? The benefits? Tell me about what keeps your team together.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'll tell you why I stay at UPS, and then I'll go to why I think other people stay at UPS. I came to UPS as a single parent for the benefits. We have phenomenal benefits for our employees. Full medical, dental, optical. It's a great benefit package for our employees. I would tell you that the pay rate for the drivers and being the best in the industry, we require a lot out of the drivers as well, but we pay them well for it as well. And part of that's the culture. And, I want to say it's a winning culture, because, you'd asked me earlier what we think about the competition. Competition is great. It keeps us at our game, but we also think that we are the top of that peer. We expect a lot of our people, and they go out and make it happen every day. And then we thank them and thank them and thank them and thank them for doing an amazing job, going out and delivering all those trampolines to people every day in and day out. So it's definitely a culture thing, number one. Number two, it's a pay thing and benefits thing, because the top tier for the drivers, they make a very good living. The point where it's usually a single income family, because they're living comfortably on the single income.
I put your website down here, and I think whoever's watching that's looking for seasonal help or looking for some seasonal work, or even wants to start a career with UPS, go to their website. You can go and find the Boise offices or wherever out of the Idaho division that will connect you with the seasonal peak work. I want to make sure I covered everything. We talked. This is really fun, because I don't normally do this, but I went around to the team here at the chamber and I said, hey, if there's one question that you could ask UPS today, what would it be? And it was questions like, where did you guys get your uniforms, and how did that all start? To what we talked about earlier about shipping containers docked and supply chain issues. So maybe just we can finish on this note.
Sure.
Where'd you guys get the uniforms, and how did that come about?
Yeah, UPS Brown, right? So the UPS Brown is actually called Pullman Brown. Charlie Soderstrom was one of the UPS founders that came up with that color. We came up with that color because back when he came up with it, it was the same color as the high-end rail cars that the first class passengers on the railroads. They were Pullman Brown. So our vehicles and our uniforms were going to become Pullman Brown, because that was the color of excellence back in the day. And ever since then, it's become synonymous with UPS. What can Brown do for you? Some of the side benefits, It hides dirt. It really does. So, but the origin of it is that it's the Pullman brown, and it was the elite color back in the day.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Doug, thank you for carving out time on your vacation today to share the origin story of UPS globally and as it relates locally. You guys have the most tenacious team that I get to see. I'm inspired every day that I see your team out delivering those packages in rain, sleet, snow, and we go out and deliver things here at the chamber, and you got to go up 3 stories or 4 stories, and somebody's there, somebody's not. So just kudos to you guys, what you do.
I'll pass it on to the team because I'm just a guy who drives a desk. The drivers and the people that load the trucks and unload trucks, they're the true heroes. So I'll pass that on to them.
Awesome. Hey, enjoy the rest of your week, Doug. Take some R&R. Thanks again for your investment with the chamber and this community.
You're very welcome. Thanks for the time.
You bet. Bye-bye.